Hi, my name is Megan Decadi, and I'm a family law attorney at Goranson, Bain, Ausley. Today I'm going to be talking about how will divorcing in Texas affect my assets. Texas is a community property state, which is something that's really important to consider when you are thinking about obtaining a divorce in Texas. In a Texas divorce, the court is tasked with dividing the community property of the parties in a just and right manner. So what is community property? Community property is all of the property acquired by spouses during the course of their marriage. It's important to consider that when the divorce is filed, all assets that are owned by the parties at the time the divorce is filed are going to be presumed under Texas law to be community property. However, not everything is community property. Texas law protects separate property of spouses. So what is separate property? This is a little bit complex, but generally separate property is anything that a spouse owned prior to marriage, anything that a spouse inherited during the course of the marriage, anything gifted to a spouse during the marriage, including gifts they received from the other spouse, and any money that spouse received during the marriage relating to a personal injury sustained by that spouse during the marriage. The concept of separate property is really important for you to understand because under Texas law, the court is prohibited from dividing separate property or awarding the separate property of a spouse to the other spouse in a divorce. However, the spouse making a separate property claim has a heightened burden to prove their separate property claim by clear and convincing evidence. This often involves admitting numerous documents to the court to prove the claim and possibly having the testimony of an expert to also prove the separate property claim. Many of my clients come into the divorce process thinking that because they have kept their finances separate during the course of their marriage, there is no community property to be divided. However, that is definitely not the case. Whether an asset is held in your name, your spouse's name, or in your names jointly, if it was acquired during the marriage, it is community property. To ensure that your assets, including your community property assets and your separate property assets, are protected, it is really important to consult with an experienced family law attorney who can talk with you about your property, your assets, and the best way to protect them.